And I just remember looking at it being like, that's never happened before. Hey guys, it's KJ and Squiggy. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thanks for coming. And if you're coming back, as always, thank you for coming back. Today I have a different type of video than I've had before. I just filmed a Walmart maternity haul, maternity haul. So I'm finally sharing videos about my pregnancy. I am currently in my 3rd trimester. Jon and I had a bit of a difficult time early on, and that is why I have not really shared much of my pregnancy journey until now, because I just didn't feel in the clear, I guess you could say. I will share that story as well. It is a very emotional and dark time in my life, but I feel it's important to share that, so stay tuned for that. But on a positive note, I wanted to share with you guys how we found out we were pregnant. It did come as a bit of a surprise. We were trying for 8 months, but it still came as a bit of a surprise, and I'm going to tell you why. Back in December, I had a chemical pregnancy. I got a positive test, and then about a day and a half later, my cycle started again. So that messed with my cycle moving forward. January, my cycle was a little bit shorter. It usually was 33 to 35 days, but this time it was, I think, around 30 days. So my next cycle, I usually ovulate around day 20, but I never got a positive ovulation test. And I usually started testing for ovulation. At this point, it had been 8 months, so I knew it was basically always around day 20. So I usually started about day 18, day 19, and then would see the positive test on day 20. So I started again on around day 18, and I think I took them for a week, and I never got a positive ovulation test. So I just thought, like, okay, maybe I'm not ovulating this month. I did have the chemical pregnancy, so maybe that messed with things. Day 40, still no period. Day 50, still no period. Decided to take a test, negative. So Jon and I were going on a trip for our 1-year anniversary in March. I went to New Orleans and Disney World, and I believe that was maybe like day 53. I took one more test the day before we left, and it was still negative. And at this point, I might have taken them like once a day for like 5 days, negative every time. I thought maybe it was my PCOS. So what's PCOS? For those of you that don't know, it is polycystic ovary syndrome, and it can affect people in different ways. For me, when I was in my early 20s, I was diagnosed, and I just didn't get a period. All of a sudden, I had been regular since I was 12 years old, and then around the age of 21, 22, my cycle was just all over the place. So I was diagnosed back then. 10 years later, or more than that, I thought, okay, maybe it's coming back, because when I was in my 20s, I was on birth control, because when you have PCOS, that is one of the ways they can help regulate you. So I'd been on birth control for about 10 years. And when I came off, my cycle was regular, and my doctor said that PCOS can be like diabetes, where, I'm not sure which, I know there's type 1 and type 2, but it's the kind that can like come and go basically. So PCOS can be like that, where it can come and go. Like, you always have it, but it can be dormant. So I thought, okay, maybe it's coming back. And we went on our trip, had a great time. But I have to say, like, when we were going on different rides in Disney, I was thinking, like, man, I hope I'm not pregnant, because I'm going on like roller coasters, and that's not good. You're not supposed to go on them. I shouldn't say I hope that I wasn't pregnant, but like in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, you know, if I am, like, this could be bad. But I was like, there's no way. I just took a whole bunch of tests, and they were negative. We come home on St. Patrick's Day, and you know, my sister was down from Buffalo, and she was, I think, in her 7th month of pregnancy, and I just thought, like, feeling kind of bummed, because I was hoping we'd be pregnant at the same time. You know, I really thought it would be great if, you know, our kids could grow up together. My cousin is 4 months younger than me, and he's one of my best friends in the whole world. He was my man of honor at my wedding, and it was just really great to have like a best friend, you know, to grow up with. And the next night, I remember coming home from work with Jon and thinking, like, I had to call the doctor. Like, it's been like 60 plus days, and I still don't have a period, and like, I'm not pregnant, so I like probably have to take progesterone to jumpstart my cycle. I took progesterone when I was in my early 20s to jumpstart my cycle when I had the PCOS. So I figured that's what I have to do now. So we go inside. I'm like, you know what, let me just take one more test just so when I call the doctor tomorrow, I can be like, I had a negative pregnancy test, like I'm not pregnant and I need to take progesterone or do something, like what can we do? So I take the test, and it was one of those ones you get from Amazon that comes in like a really large pack. I think you can get like 50 of them for like, they're really inexpensive. And I took one, and immediately, there was another line. And I just remember looking at it being like, that's never happened before. And like, I was basically in shock because I had been trying for 8 months, and with the exception of the chemical pregnancy, I had taken, that was a first response. So I had never taken like the ones I got from Amazon, but I'd never seen a positive pregnancy test like that I took. I called Jon in the bathroom. I didn't tell him I was taking it because I was like, it's going to be negative. And he was just like, what? Like, what's going on? I'm like, can you look? There's another line there, right? And there was, and it was like, not just like a faded line. It was like a dark, dark line. If I have a picture, I'll insert it. I'm not sure if I do or not. I might have taken one to send to my best friend. So if I still have that, I'll share that. Otherwise, just take my word for it. It was a dark line. So we were both just like, okay, like, let's not get too excited. You know, crazy things can happen, and let's not get too excited. I'm like, I'll take another one in the morning. So the next morning I took a test, and this time I took a digital one. I think it was the first response, and it was a blaring yes. So there was really no like other way, like it was positive. I called my doctor, and we went in, so that was Tuesday morning. We went in Thursday morning. Wednesday night I was spotting, so I think my appointment was until 11. I couldn't call because when I started spotting at night, so we just went straight into the doctor's office, and luckily they took us and did an ultrasound, and we couldn't see anything because it was so early, but I guess my walls were like thick, the tech said, so that's like a good sign. And she said I'm probably about 4.5, 5 weeks at that point. As it turns out, my weeks flip over on Friday, so it was a Thursday, so I was basically 5 weeks pregnant at the time. So if you do go in for an ultrasound before 5 weeks or at 5 weeks, it's very possible you don't see anything. So they gave me a script for my blood work, and I did the blood work that day. They called me, it was positive, and they also gave me a script to take, I think that Saturday I had to go back because it's like every 2 days. So I went back on Saturday and to make sure my levels were going up, and I'm very lucky that the tech called me with the results and they doubled. I was so nervous, but I was like, okay, it's real, like I'm pregnant. So after all of that trying, we were pregnant. So that's our pregnancy story in a nutshell. It's nothing too exciting, but it really did come as a surprise just because like my cycle had been so irregular. I will say this, when we were trying, it was very stressful. And I remember people telling me, you just need to relax, like you'll get pregnant if you relax. And anytime someone told me that, I was like, can you not? Like, I get it, I know I need to be relaxed, but it's really tough to relax when this is all I can think about because I just really want to get pregnant. And because my cycle was thrown off, when we did get pregnant, we technically weren't trying, because when I say trying, we were trying like in that window. So when it happened, I guess we just were more relaxed because we weren't thinking that it was a time that counted. So maybe there is something to that about relaxing. I hate to say it, but if you are trying, if there's any way you can relax, I guess it does work. I don't know. I guess everybody's different, because I have plenty of friends that like did their regimented schedule and like got pregnant that way. So for me though, I guess it took relaxing, or not having the pressure. But that is the story of how we found out. Nothing like too exciting, but I just wanted to share with you that news. I will be sharing our story, like I mentioned earlier in this video, of why I'm so cautious to tell this story and many others about my pregnancy. So I will be sharing that with you in my next video. So stay tuned for that. And I will be sharing first trimester recap, second trimester recap. I'm currently in my third trimester, so towards the end, I still have several weeks to go, but I will film a third trimester recap, and also just some things that I learned along the way, things that I found helpful. I was really sick in my first trimester and in my second trimester, so I tried everything you could think of to ease the nausea, and not just the nausea, but the vomiting as well. I was one of those that got really sick that way. So I would love to share with you some of the tips and tricks that helped me somewhat ease my nausea and hopefully I can help someone else. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our little story, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.